Here is a brutal truth most men completely ignore until it is too late. Your brain is physically changing its shape right now at this exact second. You are either building a ruthless intellectual weapon or you are quietly programming yourself to be easily distracted and entirely weak. The terrifying part is that this decay happens in absolute silence. You are losing your edge day by day and masking it as relaxation. Centuries ago, Miyamoto Musashi warned that a warrior must make his everyday stance his combat stance. In the modern world, your combat is your daily routine. The actions you execute in the shadows when no one is watching will literally carve out the architecture of your mind tomorrow. In this video, we are breaking down 7 non-negotiable neuroscience habits to pull your brain out of the fog and rebuild your mental clarity. We are leaving behind cheap dopamine and temporary motivation. These are the quiet foundational shifts that separate truly dangerous men from the rest of the herd. Pay very close attention and watch until the very end, because the final habit is the exact mechanism that locks this entire system in place. But none of that matters if your mind is already fractured. Let us begin with the absolute foundation. Sleep, like your reality, depends on it. It is 3 in the afternoon. You are staring blankly at your monitor. Your eyes burn. Your thoughts are crawling through thick mud, and you are desperately trying to force productivity out of a completely dead battery. A massive amount of men live in this permanent state of severe mental fog. They survive on 5 hours of sleep and glorify their exhaustion as hard work. But this is not hard work. This is biological self-destruction. Imagine your mind as a battlefield. While you sleep, an army of biological mechanisms rushes in to clear the toxic waste, repair the damaged neural pathways, and sharpen your cognitive blade for the next day. When you cut that process short, you are stepping onto the battlefield with a shattered weapon. Musashi knew a dull blade cannot strike a true blow. If you genuinely want to build a truly dangerous mind, you must aggressively protect your sleep before you look for any complex supplements. Go to bed at consistent times. Severely reduce your screen exposure right before you sleep. Avoid heavy dopamine stimulation late into the night. If you agree that optimal sleep is the foundation of daily discipline, drop a comment saying 1 down below. I want to know exactly who is paying attention and doing the real work. But here is the terrifying truth. You can sleep 8 perfect hours every single night and still wake up completely paralyzed if you allow modern technology to hijack your reward system. We must reveal how constant digital stimulation is quietly destroying your inner drive and exactly how to reclaim it right now. Shield your mind from constant dopamine overload. Picture this exact scenario. It is 2 in the morning. You are sitting alone in a dark room. The glowing screen is feeding you endless rapid videos, flashing colors, and cheap dopamine. You know you should sleep, but your thumb keeps scrolling. Hours vanish. When you finally lock the screen, your brain feels entirely paralyzed, and you are disgusted with your own lack of control. You are trapped in a digital cage, and you lock the door yourself. Modern society is literally engineered to constantly hijack your attention. Every single application competes aggressively for your daily focus. Very slowly, your normal, quiet life starts feeling incredibly boring. This extreme overstimulation makes doing the real, hard, necessary work feel physically painful. You might think your brain is permanently broken. It is not. It is simply heavily adapted to instant, cheap stimulation. Musashi taught that a warrior must cultivate a mind like still water. You cannot achieve this still water if you constantly throw heavy stones of cheap dopamine into your mind. To rebuild your mind, you must isolate yourself from this toxic noise. You have to step into the quiet dark. Learn to sit in a silent room without reaching for a distraction. Let your brain starve for cheap pleasure until your natural violent hunger for real success aggressively returns. Enforce strict boundaries against unnecessary dopamine overload. If you are fully committed to completely cutting out this cheap dopamine starting today, drop a comment saying 2 down below. Lock in your intention right now. When you reduce this excessive input, your natural focus aggressively returns. Simple daily activities become highly enjoyable once again. However, even if you master your dopamine levels, your brain will still remain incredibly weak if your physical vessel remains completely stagnant. we need to expose exactly why your lack of physical movement is secretly destroying your mental sharpness and how to fix it next. Train your body to weaponize your mind. Most guys mistakenly believe that hitting the gym is purely about physical aesthetics. They want to look good, but they miss the real advantage. It is early morning or late at night. Your body feels unimaginably heavy, and your mind is desperately begging you to stay comfortable. This is the exact micro moment where most men surrender. But when you step up and force your physical body to move heavy iron or sprint until your lungs burn, you are not just building muscle. You are physically executing your inner weakness. Every single time you push through severe physical pain, in absolute silence, you are brutally proving to your brain that your iron logic controls your actions, not your fleeting feelings. The moment you start moving, you directly alter your internal brain chemistry. Vigorous physical activity forces massive blood flow straight into your brain. It triggers the release of vital chemicals responsible for deep memory and rapid learning. Exercise actively destroys the chronic stress hormones that constantly ruin your focus. Musashi did not swing his wooden sword 1,000 times a day for basic fitness. He did it to forge his physical vessel so his mind could become an unbreakable weapon under extreme pressure. You do not need to train like an extreme fitness influencer. Simple and highly consistent movement is incredibly effective. Lifting heavy weights or running fast on a track works perfectly. That specific ability guarantees ultimate success in life because greatness requires disciplined action far above raw intelligence. You have built the physical foundation. Your body is primed and your environment is quiet, but none of that matters if your attention is still shattered across 100 different directions. We must begin to forge an immovable mind. Treat your focus like a physical muscle. Most men feel mentally weak today because their attention span is completely destroyed. Most guys cannot look at a single task for 5 minutes. They immediately grab their phone or open a new tab. This is not a minor productivity issue. Focus is directly wired into your brain development. It controls your memory and your emotional regulation. Every time your attention jumps, your brain pays a heavy switching cost. Neuroscience proves that constant task switching crushes mental efficiency. It creates severe cognitive fatigue. This is why you can sit at a desk doing nothing all day and still feel exhausted. Your brain never receives uninterrupted time to think deeply. To fix this, you must build an immovable mind. Musashi referred to this state of unshakable concentration as fudoshin. In a duel, a wandering mind meant death. In modern life, a wandering mind means absolute mediocrity. The protocol to sharpen your brain is straightforward. Practice uninterrupted. Focus daily. Do not start with 5 hours. Start with just 20 minutes. Pick one objective. No smartphone in the room, no music with lyrics. Just one specific task executed with total concentration. This is legitimate brain training. At first, your overstimulated mind will resist. You will feel physically restless. Your brain will remind you of random urgencies. That is normal. Your neural pathways are addicted to cheap stimulation. But if you consistently practice this focused work, your concentration will grow. It grows exactly like a muscle under tension. Over time, you will think with razor clarity. Your discipline naturally increases. A distracted brain is weak, but a focused brain is highly dangerous. Now your mind is focused and ready to process reality. But you can possess the greatest focus in the world and still fail if you feed it absolute garbage. We must expose why your daily media consumption is actively making your thinking shallow and how to fix your information diet starting today. Consume material that forces mental growth. Your brain is a supercomputer, and every single piece of content you consume is a line of code actively programming your future reality. Right now, most men are constantly downloading garbage code. They are feeding a warrior's mind with poison and cheap sugar. If your daily input is shallow, your life will inevitably become shallow. The vast majority of content today is engineered to keep you distracted. You are bombarded with rapid videos and cheap daily dopamine. Your brain ruthlessly adapts to whatever information you feed it. You must brutally filter what enters your mind. Stop consuming random internet noise and start actively stealing the intellect of history's greatest minds. You must step away from the herd. Read material that sits slightly above your current comfort level. Dive into human psychology or ruthless business strategy. Study history, neuroscience, or deep philosophy. Musashi wrote that you must study the ways of all professions. He knew that a narrow mind is a highly vulnerable mind. When you sit in complete silence and dissect complex philosophy, you are literally overriding your old weak operating system. Do not just blindly consume the words on the page. Pause and actively reflect on what you just downloaded. Ask yourself how you can directly apply this new concept into your actual life. This deliberate reflection process builds ironclad critical thinking. A highly dangerous man does not have a mind filled with fast videos. His mind is a carefully curated arsenal of high-level intelligence. A sharp mind knows exactly how to dissect and utilize high-level information properly. You now have a clean mind filled with lethal knowledge. But you can completely master your intellect and still entirely destroy your life in 10 seconds if you lack one crucial skill. We need to expose exactly how unmanaged emotions dictate your failures and how to permanently stop them next. Master your emotional control. A highly sharpened brain is never just purely intelligent. It is incredibly emotionally stable. A massive disaster strikes. Someone deeply insults you or a critical project suddenly falls apart. Panic instantly rises in your chest. The weak man reacts immediately. He explodes, he yells, and he completely destroys his position because he is a helpless slave to his shifting emotions. But the dangerous man does something terrifying. He goes completely silent. In that critical split second between the chaotic event and his reaction, he builds a mental wall of pure ice. He simply observes the chaos happening around him without letting it breach his mind. High emotional intelligence is a massive requirement for actual success. Neuroscience clearly shows that strong emotional regulation rapidly improves logical decision-making. It severely reduces internal mental chaos. Musashi knew that if an enemy can make you angry, he has already defeated you. True power is not about suppressing your rage. It is about looking directly at the storm, acknowledging it, and calmly deciding to remain utterly unshakable. So how do you actually build this elite emotional control? First, you must immediately stop reacting instantly to every single thing around you. Most permanent emotional damage always happens during automatic fast reactions. You must aggressively create a physical and mental pause. That very small pause gives your rational prefrontal cortex enough time to catch up. Second, you must deeply learn to silently observe your emotions. Do not permanently become them. Instead of heavily believing you are angry, simply notice the anger existing nearby. That highly specific mental shift creates massive psychological distance. You completely stop being brutally controlled by wild emotions. This is exactly why all these specific daily habits connect deeply together. However, even if you completely master your emotions, you will still fail. You will inevitably fail if you continue to rely on one massive lie that society constantly feeds you about success. Prioritize relentless consistency over motivation. The massive toxic lie society constantly feeds you is that you need high motivation to achieve greatness. You must permanently stop relying on random bursts of motivation. Some days you will wake up feeling incredibly driven. Other days you will feel completely empty. If your daily habits depend entirely on how you feel, your progress becomes wildly inconsistent. Inconsistency completely destroys all effective brain training. Your brain physically changes its structure exclusively through massive repetition. Consistently stealing intellect every single day easily beats reading 100 pages once a month. Exercising 20 solid minutes daily heavily outworks one extreme workout followed by 2 weeks of inactivity. Doing highly focused deep work daily always beats random chaotic bursts of sudden productivity. Consistency creates your permanent identity. Eventually, your physical brain naturally starts seeing these specific actions as your normal baseline behavior. That exact moment is when true discipline finally becomes effortless. People who possess a dominant winning attitude are almost never superhuman mutants. They simply trained their minds to keep showing up repeatedly. They do this regardless of their internal feelings. Over a long period of time, those relentless repetitions completely transformed their entire mindset. That is what real self-improvement actually looks like. It is never about cheap motivational quotes. It is about forging daily habits, repeated, long enough to reshape the physical gray matter inside your skull. Miyamoto Musashi perfectly understood this brutal truth. He stated that stepping onto the battlefield requires 1,000 days of training. It takes 10,000 days of training to polish your spirit. He did not wait for motivation to swing his sword. He simply swung the blade every single day until the heavy weapon became a natural extension of his own arm. Your mind is exactly like that blade. Your brain is adapting to your environment right now at this exact second. What exactly is it adapting to? Is it adapting to endless distraction or intense focus? Is it adapting to wild emotional impulses or cold iron discipline? Society wants you weak. The algorithm wants you distracted. The modern world is designed to make you comfortable, docile, and completely average. When you practice relentless consistency, you are not just improving yourself. You are rebelling against a system designed to keep you at the bottom. You absolutely do not need perfect natural genetics to rapidly sharpen your brain. You simply need vastly better daily patterns. Focus deeply on one task. Sleep properly to repair your mind. Read highly challenging material. Exercise consistently to build physical discipline. Reduce your toxic dopamine overload. Build your emotional intelligence. Practice relentless consistency even when your motivation completely disappears. Do these specific things long enough, and you will notice a massive life transformation. When you train your brain properly, absolutely everything else becomes easier. Real growth happens when you execute in the shadows while everyone else is seeking attention. Become better in silence. Let your undeniable results make all the noise. But there is a hidden cost to this iron discipline. When you level up, you will lose people. In the next video on your screen, I am going to reveal the dark psychology of isolation and exactly why staying completely alone is the brutal price of your future success. Click it right now. I will see you there.